Welcome back, everybody. We got a few things to talk about this week, including allegations. And unfortunately, this has kind of been a bit of a slow week in the MySpace deathcore and kind of deathcore in general scene. So there's not too much to talk about as far as tours, albums, songs go, but we do have a few. So first up, I actually missed this last week, but Whitechapel is doing a 20th anniversary tour. Hopefully they got a lot of stuff off the Somatic Defilement and This Is Exile on that tour. It'll be pretty cool, so go check it out in November. And working backwards chronologically, in September, there is a mixed bill tour. It's going to be featuring Girl of Glass, but it's also going to have an Alabama band, Rep the 256 and 205, Wielded Steel. They're really good metallic hardcore. Check them out. It's also going to have Kayanashi as well as the Callous Dowboys, and that's going to be pretty cool. Go check it out. Next up, we got a few songs that were pretty cool that dropped. You should check out. We got Amber's Torture Story by Gunpoint that dropped. Real Life Death by Shocksite. And there's a 2-song demo by The Safe Place that's pretty cool. I didn't want to put it in the whole album EP section because it's only 2 songs. And on June 24th, there's going to be a collab with Philosophy of a Knife and Get Me the Knife that's going to drop. So that'll be pretty cool to check out. And on July 4th, a new band called You'd Be Damned will be dropping a song called Who's the Victim, and the little snippet I heard on Instagram is pretty cool, so check that out when it drops. Go give them a follow. I forgot to mention the band Alessa has dropped a couple songs recently, one I believe within the past few days. They're really sick. They got, I believe, the old vocalist from Gamma Sector, so go check them out as well. As far as albums and EPs go, really there's just one. It's Requiem of Damnation by Decaying Skies. Also, don't forget the Slain from Foundation EP that dropped, that was mentioned last week. It dropped the day after the last episode. Go check that out as well. And as far as like news and stuff goes, it's been a bit of a slow week, like I mentioned, aside from an allegation that Bring Me the Horizon used AI for their visualizer for Black and Blue. So that just brings me to my next point. Let's talk about some allegations in deathcore in general. It's become a bit of a meme, deathcore band is announcing big things and it ends up being allegations. We've all seen the meme. But this is a super unfair stereotype to deathcore because it's really one of the least prominent allegation-prone genres there is. Now, you might be thinking, no, there's no way. I hear about it all the time, but think about it. Is it deathcore bands or is it metalcore bands, pop-punk bands, post-hardcore bands, non-deathcore bands that you're hearing the allegations of? Because I'm about to list pretty much every prominent allegation in deathcore, and I'm sure there's some that have happened in your local scene from a band that never popped off and no one heard of, but that happens with every genre everywhere. These are pretty much the most prominent allegations that have happened in deathcore, and only a few of them are, let's say, predatory, because YouTube doesn't like certain words, in nature. Now, I'm not trying to demean any of these victims in any way. I'm just trying to look at this from like a logical standpoint of this statement looks like this. This situation seems like this. I'm not accusing any of these victims of anything. I'm not trying to downplay what they went through. I'm not trying to say that any of them are lying. I'm not trying to say anything negative about their character. I'm just not focusing on them for this segment. So definitely take everything I say with a grain of salt and do your own research on these situations. And I'm not going to go into great detail on these. You can Google them if you want to do a deep dive. A few I might go somewhat in detail on, but this is just to give you an idea of how infrequent allegations in deathcore actually are, because It's an undeserved stereotype. So first up, Shrine of Malice. I believe it was their vocalist, Greg Gilbert, was accused of assault of that nature. So that is one strike for Deathcore. And there's another for Slice the Cake that is kind of muddy. All we know is that one of their members, Greg Mason, was facing serious criminal charges, according to the band. There's never been an update on that. No one knows exactly what those charges are. So we can assume, but I mean, they're obviously bad, but yeah, that's kind of it. And aside from one weird situation that I'll get to later, those are the only two that have had legal action actually taken on a member of a band. Aside from that weird situation that I'll get to later.
Real quick, I need to say this. I am not trying to defend any of the perpetrators in this. I realized while editing it, I'm stumbling over my words and making this goofy face, and it's just because I'm trying to think of the best way to say things and try to say neutral just to pass on the story with the depth of knowledge that I have. By no means am I defending these people, even though I do make this goofy face. That's just like my I don't know what to say, I'm thinking kind of face. And yeah, like, Eddie is a gross, creepy, like, just disgusting person. Kyle, he is an absolute prick, and I can't imagine what he had to do to make his victim feel like she did. I don't want it to come off like I'm on the side of these perpetrators or anything, because I'm not at all. I just didn't write the script as well as I should have, so I'm going off the top of my head, and I guess that makes me make this goofy face where I look like I'm not taking something seriously, and me stumbling over my words might come off that way. I don't want anyone to think that.
So next up we have Tactosa. This is kind of just like a weird cancellation of a band over people interpreting someone's story in a weird way. So basically with Tactosa, Kyle was a prick to a girl that he was seeing. She said that she admitted that she consented to everything. She felt that she couldn't take back that consent. Also, he was mean because he got upset at her for crying on a shirt that he had. That's about it with him. Basically, he was a prick. Like, I don't want to demean the victim and how she felt by any means, but it's just a weird situation because she acknowledges she gave consent and didn't take the consent back, and the band ended up getting canceled because he was a prick, essentially. Like, by her own definition, he didn't commit a crime, which I do feel bad for her not feeling like she could take back her consent. Like, I can't comprehend that situation, so I don't know how that feels. But yeah, to be clear with Tactosa, there were no actual legal allegations. This was more of a, I guess, moral, ethical type thing where people wanted to stand behind the victim because they felt that she had been wronged in some way. And I'm not saying she wasn't, but it's a very different story than the other two that faced criminal charges for their actions. And speaking of Tactosa, that brings me to the other one that did receive legal actions, albeit it was after they were already kicked out of this band. So Peacemaker and Tactosa's ex-guitarist, Joseph Schultz, was caught with CP and bestiality videos. Neither band, I'm assuming Tactosa didn't, Peacemaker did not know about this until months after they had already kicked him out for unrelated reasons. They are actually the ones that spread the news that he had gotten arrested. They were very upset about this. But yeah, he was definitely someone that deserves the stereotype, that's for sure. Next is the whole Eddie Hermida from All Shall Perish situation. This is also another weird one that doesn't make very much sense. It's kind of hard to follow. From my understanding, he admitted that he was wrong for talking to a 17-year-old. However, he told her that they couldn't, do anything or whatever until she was 18. If I'm remembering correctly, she admittedly lied that she had turned 18 before she had. And I think it was just messages and maybe pictures that were exchanged or something. I really don't remember this off the top of my head all that well, but there's a reason there was no criminal charges taken. Although it is really weird of him, kind of creepy. It is kind of some groomer behavior. But yeah, you can look into that and form your own conclusion on it. I honestly need to look into it a little bit more. I'd never really listened to that much of All Shall Perish. I did back in the day, but I kind of just stopped for some reason and just kept forgetting to put them on my playlist. So haven't really listened to them since I found out about this. Haven't ever really been a big fan of the newer Suicide Silence anyway, so I never took the time to look very in-depth into it to form an opinion on it. So I guess you can give that one a check mark for the whole stereotype, but yeah, no legal action was taken on that one either. And next we have CJ McMahon from Thy Art Is Murder. Basically, this dude is just like a far-right transphobe that doesn't belong in a core scene, made transphobic comments, and as he should, he got kicked out of the band and canceled, and thankfully, any band that tries to feature him gets a lot of flack for it now, and yeah, he's just been blackballed from the deathcore community because he deserves it. And now we're going to get into bands that people call deathcore. I personally don't consider them deathcore, but since they're associated with deathcore, I'm going to include them anyway, just to give this stereotypical meme the benefit of the doubt. So we have CJ McCreery. He was alleged to have committed sexual and emotional abuse on, I believe it was multiple exes. I don't know much of the specifics because I've always hated absolutely everything that he has put out, so I haven't given a single thought about looking into it. But it does seem to be that he is a giant douchebag and there is validity behind these allegations. Although I don't think any of them had legal action taken. I'm not sure if there was proof enough to do so or what the issue was, but yeah, CJ McCreery, he gets the check mark. This stereotype applies to him. Next up, we have Alex Terrible from Laughter to Prevail. He's a Nazi. For those of y'all that do not know, yes, he had a black sun tattoo and then got it covered up multiple years after he realized that it was hurting his band's reputation and career. Now, this is where his statement starts to not really line up with the reality, and this is why a lot of people call him a Nazi, and why personally I believe is true, and he just tries to keep up an image that is conducive to keeping his band afloat. So he gives this excuse for why he had the tattoo and says that he gave up those beliefs before a certain period of time, like in his life, before the band started. Then a picture of him dressed as an SS officer surfaces after this point in time where he supposedly gave up these beliefs. And there's also been a lot of weird Instagram stories and statements that he makes that are very obviously very far right, very transphobic, things of that nature, that he gives an excuse of his language barrier, and he tries to pretend his language barrier is worse than it is in those situations, and then it'll noticeably be not that bad in other situations. Yeah, it just doesn't add up with his explanation or anything. So Alex Terrible is a Nazi. But that is my personal opinion and really the opinion of the majority of people that have looked into this at all whatsoever. There's a reason they are the biggest band in the far-right conservative metalheads Facebook group. Yeah, there's a reason for it. And lastly, Lucas Man from Rings of Saturn stole We Are the End's riff. So there is a song called The Husk that Rings of Saturn put out, and it was a blatant ripoff of a song of a riff that We Are the End taught Lucas, or sent Lucas to learn when he wanted to try out for We Are the End. Lucas was not good at playing guitar at the time and could not play the riff, so he did not make it into the band. But he held on, I guess, to the MIDI for years and ended up repurposing it for the Husk. All I know is there's a lawsuit. Lucas lost. He 100% stole that riff. Yeah, this is just like, I had to fish for allegations in the deathcore scene because the stereotype just isn't really a part of deathcore. Deathcore is one of the least allegation-prone genres there is. And I thought that would be interesting to talk about, especially with such a slow week, because that's all we've got to talk about. There isn't much happening this week. If I missed anything, let me know in the comments below. If you want to argue about anything that I said, any of my opinions, any of the allegations that were brought upon these musicians in the comments, leave a comment. Feel free to. It's not going to make me butthurt or anything. Yeah, list any shows, tours, albums, songs that I missed. I can't really do this on my own and be accurate, so I need everyone's help. Yeah, until next week, let's let a couple breakdowns play us out.
To your fucking knees, beg for your life, beg for your life. There's no reason to the goddamn